another episode of Terrible Girlfriends. And if you're new here, I will be covering some of the worst girlfriends of all time and breaking down why and how they are so bad. But before we start, I thought I would add some categories for these women. The first category is bad. This is a woman who does a few terrible things to their partners, but shows that they somewhat still care about their partner. So maybe they lie to them about stuff, but they at least remember their partner's birthday. The second category is atrocious. This is a girl who does terrible things to their partners and other people, but sometimes they kind of care about their partner. So maybe they beat them up every day, but after they beat them up, they give them a hug, even though they might do it again the next day. The last category is horrendous. This is a girl that has done so many terrible things to others and their partners that there is no way we can put them in any other category. So now that we got the categories out the way, y'all know the drill. Sit back, relax, don't let the intrusive thoughts win, and get ready for a show. Narrated by yours truly. Let's get into our first example of a terrible girlfriend.
He's late all the time, or doesn't show and then lies about why. At least I think he's lying. I don't know if I can deal with it much longer.
Amber is from a show called Invincible. And I know y'all are probably tired of me covering Invincible characters, but to be honest, I don't care. I'm doing another one. So I want to start by saying I don't think Amber is a bad person. I think she's just stupid. But that doesn't negate some of the bad things she has done while she was a girlfriend. So let's get into it. So we first see Amber in high school when she ends up getting pressed by a guy in the hallway. And this is where Mark shows up and tries to confront him so he will leave Amber alone. But that didn't really work out too well for Mark. But after Mark got his ass beat in front half the school, Amber jumps in and kicks him right in his meat.
Leave him alone!
And this is where Amber starts to take a liking to Mark. And this is probably the first time I've seen a nigga get beat up and it actually work in their favor. So Mark ends up getting Amber's number and they slowly start getting closer and closer. I also wanted to point out that Mark is invincible. And at this point, Amber doesn't know this. And Mark is trying to keep this a secret as best as he can. And to be fair, it does kind of seem like Mark is just randomly leaving her.
Sorry.
I've been sitting here for an hour.
I know.
So I do kind of understand where she's coming from when she gets upset about this. But on the other hand, Mark is literally saving the world. And if y'all seen the show, y'all know that Mark was getting his ass whooped every single episode. Next part that's very important is during Amber working at a soup kitchen, she says this.
Make the world you want to live in, right?
This is very important for later. So after Mark gets his ass whooped a couple times, he ends up talking to Amber and they plan to go visit college together. And when they go to visit the college, it's seeming pretty cool. They're walking around, they catch a cool lecture class, and it seems like a great date for them. But then a zombie cyborg pulls up to campus and starts tweaking out. So Mark had to run off and suit up so he could fight. And while Mark is fighting, Amber is looking for him and she's also upset that Mark has left her once again. So once he finishes off the cyborg, Amber starts crying.
Steve was wrong about you. So was I.
Wait! Amber!
And because Amber is fed up with Mark, she ends up going to a college party, and while she's there, she ends up damn near cheating on Mark with another guy. The only reason she didn't do anything was because he already had a girlfriend. So after the college trip, they get back home, and Mark starts trying to apologize to Amber, but she's not trying to hear it.
Amber, I'm in...
So now Mark has to make a choice. He can continue to ditch her in order to conceal his superhero identity, or he can pull up on her in his tight-ass yellow suit and show her who he really is.
The next day,
He decides to pull up in his tight-ass yellow suit and reveal his true identity. And after he takes his mask off, this is what Amber says.
I know you're a superhero. I figured it out weeks ago.
Hold up, let me slow that down and replay that.
But you were mad at him because he wasn't.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. She knew this entire time he was a superhero. When he got his ass beat earlier, she knew what happened. When he left to go do superhero stuff, she knew. And when he had left to save the college campus, she knew that too. So what the hell was she crying for? And they've only been dating for a few months, and she's acting mad that he didn't tell her off the rip. Mind y'all, most superheroes never reveal their secret identity. Why do y'all think nobody has ever seen me and Batman in the same room? But hey, let's keep that between us. Amber knowing this the whole time and acting mad every single time Mark left really pissed me off. Cause Mark was out there saving lives and saving her life as well, but she's trying to make him feel bad about this. Cause remember, she said this.
Make the world you want to live in, right?
But now that Mark is trying to make the world he wants to live in, it's a problem. And now that I think about it, she watched Mark fight that cyborg and still had the nerve to cry in his face like he didn't save that entire campus and Amber's life. If Mark hadn't have been there, she would have been cooked. All she had to do was bring this up while they were dating. Because it's not like Mark doesn't know he's invincible. So I'm sure it would have worked out fine. But I think it's pretty wild to see your...
I would be understanding of that, you know, because it takes a while to open up and tell someone something like that. So I wouldn't want to be with somebody 2, 3, 4, 5 years before they tell me, but I would understand that person waiting longer than 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe 8 months to a year. I'm not sure, but I would not be upset if someone tell me that, oh, it's 7 months later since we have been together and now you want to tell me. I would understand that. It's like someone being wealthy and they don't come out and say it because they don't want you, you know, they want to make sure that you are with them for who they are. I wouldn't mind someone like not saying anything. You know, you don't have to say exactly that what you do. You can say some of what you do in the industry without, you know, telling everything. I would be understanding of that, but I think that is something you should share no more than 6 months in, maybe 4 months in, but something like that I would never be upset about because I get it.
Boyfriend get beat up constantly, pretend you're the victim, and then almost cheat, all while knowing the whole time he was a superhero. And ironically, Mark does end up getting a new girlfriend. But like I said in the beginning, I don't think she's a bad person, and I definitely think she cared for Mark. So I think she deserves to go in the bad slot. All right, time for the next one.
They are not racist.
Oh.
I would have told you.
I mean, wouldn't she be?
Rose is from a movie called Get Out. And at first, she seems really cool and caring, but as the movie goes on, we see that is not the case.
It was
so let's get into it.
Her pretending.
So Rose is in a relationship with this guy named Chris. And one day they decide to go visit Rose's parents' house for the first time. And while Rose is driving there, she ends up hitting a deer and getting the police involved. And everything is cool, but then the police starts trying to ask for Chris's ID. And she gets upset about it because Chris wasn't even the one driving. So after Rose defends Chris to the cop, they finally make it to their parents' house. And as they are walking around the house, they enter the kitchen. And this is where we meet a lady working as a maid. And something seems off about her. She doesn't seem scary, but you can tell something isn't right about her. Because all she does is stare and smile. And while Chris is staying here, he starts noticing weird stuff all around the house. He notices a closet that seems very eerie. Then he goes outside and there's a guy running right at him, but he turns right before he hits Chris. He sees the maid lady randomly walking around the house. Now, I probably would have been gone by now. This is way too many red flags for my comfort, but then he ends up talking to Rose's mom, and she ends up hypnotizing him and sending him to a realm called the Sunken Place. So the next day, Chris tries to tell Rose about what happened, but she brushes it off.
I was in a hole or something. I couldn't move.
Oh God, that sounds terrible. I'm sorry.
Now this is already strike one for her. If your boyfriend tells you your mom tried to hypnotize him, you would think that would be pretty important to talk about, but she doesn't seem to care. But Chris can't really focus on the weird stuff because Rose's family throws a party. And during the party, Rose and Chris are going around talking to people. But then they meet a guy named Logan. And he is giving off the same vibe that the lady in the kitchen gave off earlier. So Chris goes inside, and immediately as he goes up the stairs, everyone stops talking. Then he gets in his room and notices his phone has been unplugged from the charger. And when Chris brings this up to Rose, once again, she brushes it off like it's not a big deal.
So you are so sexy that people are just unplugging your phone.
So Chris takes his phone outside and takes a picture of Logan. And this is where Logan started tweaking out.
Get out! Yo! Yo! Chill, man. Get out! Chill!
So after seeing Logan act this way, Chris tries to get answers from Rose and her family. And all while this is happening, Rose is also acting like she's confused. And she also tries to comfort Chris while he's freaked out. So Chris and Rose finally talk about all the weird stuff that's been happening. And Chris is like,
I want to go home. I want to go home!
And at first, Rose was mad that he was trying to leave. But then she ended up agreeing to leave with him.
This sucks. Let's go home. I'll make something up.
So Rose and Chris start packing up their bags. And as Chris starts looking in this closet, he finds a red box with pictures in it. And as he is looking through the pictures, he sees a picture of Rose and her previous boyfriend. Then he finds another picture, and another picture, and another picture, and another picture. So now not only do we see that
She belongs to the streets,
but she also has only dated black people. Then we see a pic of her and the first lady that we saw in the kitchen.
Jesus Christ. Fucking hell, man. I'm finished.
So now Chris goes downstairs to leave, and Rose's entire family is downstairs not letting him leave at all. And Chris tries to ask Rose for the keys, but when Rose picks up the keys, she says,
You know I can't give you the keys.
Hypnotizes Chris, and he enters the sunken place again. So turns out the whole time they were dating, Rose was playing his ass.
Yeah,
all the love she showed was fake. All the time she was comforting him was fake. When Chris tried to talk to Rose about the hypnosis, she knew what was happening. And everything Rose had done to Chris was all to get him here. And the reason Rose brought him here was so her family could strap him down, take over his body, and transplant one of their family members' brains into his body. And it's not just Chris. Every single person Rose has dated, she lured them into this place. The first lady we saw, Rose dated her. The guy running towards Chris that one night, Rose dated him too. And while all this is happening to Chris, Rose is actively searching for more black people to date in order to lure them back to her family. And then we see that she keeps the pictures of all her boyfriends and girlfriends hung up on this room. But Chris does end up escaping the house after fighting her entire family. And as he tries to run off, Rose tracks him down and starts trying to shoot his ass. Then Rose sends the same guy who was running at Chris earlier. And when Rose ends up getting packed up, she tells Chris,
I love you. I love you.
But Chris is like,
But anywho,
and starts choking her. And as he's choking her, the police end up showing up. And this is not a good look for Chris. I don't think I have to explain why a bloody black guy on top of a white woman being strangled is not a good look. But turns out the police was actually Chris's friend that came to save him. But Rose was a complete psycho from start to finish. So I think we can all agree this is probably one of the worst girlfriends of all time. She's racist, she's a liar, she's a manipulator, she faked every part of the relationship, and she brought all of her boyfriends and girlfriends to be essentially brainwashed and killed for her family. And even when Chris escaped, she was still trying to kill him and play the victim. And I just know Chris is gonna have lifelong trauma anytime he sees a white girl. So I'm gonna have to put her in the horrendous spot because her actions were way too crazy.
He may have those family members
now it's time for the next one.
Told you so.
Well, it's kind of my thing to look after people I care about.
I don't know who this person is.
That's why I'm going to keep a close eye on you.
Now, if you know who this girl is, you know just how crazy of a person she can get. What's the name of the series? You know it's from a show called Future Diary.
I hadn't heard
and within this show, there are 12 people who are competing in a battle royale called the Survival Game. And they are each given a diary that can tell them the future. But the future can also change depending on the actions of the people. And Yuno happens to be one of the players in the game. And Yuno is probably the most complex character on this list because her story is actually pretty crazy. And she was also mistreated by her own parents. But despite all of that, this girl is crazy as hell. So let's get into it. So one day at school, Yuno approaches a guy named Yuki, who we later find out is also a part of the Battle Royale. But due to a plan by some of the other members of the game, Yuki ends up agreeing to hang out with her. So they go on a few dates, and after the date, he goes back to her house. And when he gets there, we notice that she doesn't have any power in her house. And while they are there, Yuki ends up having to go to the restroom. But he ends up opening the wrong door, and what he sees behind this door is dead bodies. So he ends up running home after seeing the dead bodies. And when he gets home, he hears,
"Good night, sweetie."
No.
No! No! Say you swear to fucking God, bro.
See you in your dreams.
But wait! There's more!
So Yuki tries to tell the police, and Yuno pops up on his phone. So now we see that Yuno is crazy as hell, she's a stalker, and we find out that the bodies were her parents because she locked them in a cage and starved them to death. Alright, just based off this, she cannot go within the bad category, but let's keep moving. So another thing I want to point out is Yuki is kind of forced to be around Yuno due to her obsessive stalking, but also because the current battle royale is getting intense.
I've got your back. That's what I do.
So the wild thing about Yuno is it doesn't matter if you're in the survival game or not. If you get near Yuki, she will kill you without hesitation, even if Yuki doesn't want her to. And when he tries to tell people about Yuno, she pops up before he could even say anything.
Gentlemen aren't supposed to kiss and tell. People will think I'm loose.
So after this, Yuki and Yuno end up getting trapped.
Stick with me and get out of this alive, or stay with the whore and say goodnight. Better hurry.
And after they are safe, another girl kisses Yuki right in front of Yuno.
12 seconds later.
And Yuno gets an axe and cuts off her entire hand.
That's not human, man. You're not regular, man. Nigga was the devil, man. That nigga was the devil, man.
Then the next time we see Yuno, she's breaking into Yuki's house. And when Yuki gets there, he sees the house is broken, and he also sees that Yuno is digging through all of his stuff. And I'm not sure how they let this slide. My mom would have roundhouse kicked this girl if she broke into our crib. But his mom actually lets Yuki and Yuno sleep in the same room after she broke in. But Yuki ends up telling her,
"Look, you're nice, but I just don't see you that way."
But Yuno could care less about what that nigga wants.
Give it time.
Excuse me?
You're totally gonna fall in love with me soon.
So during her stay at Yuki's house, she ends up knocking his mom out with the hammer while she's hunting down a little kid. And this would have been the last straw for me. If my girl knocks out my mom, I don't care what the situation is. I'm squaring up with her and hitting her with the meanest combo I can think of. So next we see that Yuno is trying to kill one of Yuki's friends.
Think about it. Where would I be if you got to know this girl and fell in love with her? Life just wouldn't be worth living if I can't be the center of your world.
This nigga is crazy.
So because of this, Yuki has to think of something quick. So he ended up saying,
"I would like to introduce you all to someone very special. This is Yuno Gasai, my girlfriend."
And this does save his friend, but this is crazy work. She was going to slash her throat open if Yuki hadn't said this. Then we see Yuki and Yuno hanging out again. But one of Yuki's friends sends him a text saying that he should stay away from her and that the police are currently looking for her. But Yuno deletes the message before he can see it.
Hey, you're gonna wind up losing this thing.
Thanks. Did anybody try to call me?
You got some spam, but I got rid of it.
Yeah, I'ma just let y'all know right now. I'm putting her in the horrendous spot. If you disagree at this point, I don't know what to tell you. And while they are riding this train, we see Yuno has a big ass duffel bag. And once we see what's inside the bag, it starts getting very scary. So first we see that she has lingerie. Then we see she has a bunch of drugs. Then we see she has needles. Then we see she has 2 skulls in her bag. So now with Yuno doing all this crazy shit, Yuki's friends end up trying to find out where he is. And once they get to where Yuno and Yuki are, Yuno has the place booby-trapped, trying to kill them. Then one of them gets a text from Yuki's phone, but it was really Yuno who sent this message to lure them into a trap. And once they go to this location that Yuno sent from Yuki's phone, they find a fake body.
Got him. We fucking got him.
And then the room starts to fill up with poison gas. Then we see the real room that Yuno and Yuki are in. And Yuno has Yuki chained up in a chair, looking like he's been on a year-long diet of air and his own tears.
I know it's intense, but this is home for a while. We're safe from the cops here.
So the skulls end up being the skulls from her parents. So not only did she kill them, but she also removed their skulls to bring with her. So Yuki's friends end up threatening to tell the police on Yuno if she doesn't let them all go. So once she gives them the key to free them, she takes a crossbow and shoots one of Yuki's friends in the leg. And after this, the show starts getting really crazy. Cause turns out the Yuno that we've been seeing this entire time is from a different timeline, where she has already won the survival game and has become a god. So she traveled to this timeline, killed this timeline's Yuno, and took her place just so she could be with Yuki, because the Yuki in her timeline is dead. I know it's pretty confusing, but trust me, you do not want her as your girlfriend in any timeline. She really traveled through time just to stalk Yuki, forced him into a relationship, killed anyone who got too close to him, damn near killed his friends, knocked out his mom, broke into his house, deleted messages off his phone, and then chained him up to a chair, then hurt his friend some more. I don't care if she loved him or not. This is not something any person should be doing. And even though I do think Yuno and Yuki care for each other, I could care less about that. I am not moving her from the horrendous spot. All right, time for the next one.
Wasn't that bad compared to this.
And you're gonna walk out
now?
Yeah.
Okay, now this one here.
Amy is from a book called Gone Girl, and eventually the book was made into a movie. And when I saw this movie, I knew I had to add her in this series. And for this character, I'm going to break her story down chapter by chapter so y'all can really feel just how terrible of a person she became. So without further ado, let's get into...
Oh my goodness.
So the first character we meet is Nick, and he heads to the bar because he's getting pretty fed up with Amy. And at the bar working is his twin sister Margot. Then we get a flashback to the day Nick and Amy met. And once Nick saw her, he immediately started trying to riz her up. And it actually worked enough for him to win her over. Now we cut back to the present, and Nick goes to his house because his door is wide open. So he starts calling out Amy's name, but nobody is there to respond. But then he sees a shattered glass table. So this made Nick really worried. So he ended up calling the police to come check out the house. And once the detectives come to the house, they start checking all the rooms, but there's still no sign of Amy. So he goes down to the police station to try to get some clues on where Amy could be. Then we find out that Nick doesn't really know much about his girl, because they start asking him questions and he doesn't know any of them. He doesn't know her blood type, he doesn't know who her friends are, and he doesn't even know her favorite food.
You don't know if she has friends, you don't know what she does all day, and you don't know your wife's blood type.
Sure y'all are married.
Which isn't all that weird, but you would at least expect him to know her favorite food. Because I already know, if I'm in the same situation, all I would have to do is hold up a boiled crab leg and my girl is gonna bust through the wall. Then we get another flashback to Amy and Nick dating, and it's hinted that their relationship is slowly going downhill. Then in the present, a random woman who's a neighbor pulls up.
I'm Amy's best friend.
Which is kind of weird because we've never heard about her until right now. But it also concerns the detectives because Nick said he didn't know she had any friends. Then that same night, Nick ended up going to check on his dad's house. But when he got there was a detective that had been following him. And this pissed off Nick big time. Then we get another flashback to the relationship struggling. And it's shown that Amy has been writing down a bunch of stuff in her diary throughout their whole relationship. And it's also shown that a lot of their conversations end up becoming arguments. So now it's been 2 days since Amy disappeared. So Amy's parents host an event to gather people to search for Amy. But due to the amount of press Nick is getting, he decides to go stay with his sister for right now. But at this point, it's looking like Nick has done something to Amy. He doesn't seem very emotional. He's seen smiling with people, and he hasn't said too much to anyone. But then a random girl busts through the door and starts kissing Nick. But we soon find out that this girl isn't random. This is actually Nick's new girlfriend, Andy, which is very weird, but this also was probably the reason he didn't care about Amy missing. So it's not looking too good for Nick. The next day, Nick's sister catches him with the new girlfriend, and she was pissed he didn't tell her about this. But Nick says,
okay, you have no idea how shitty it was with Amy, how fucking terrible she made me feel.
So now we get another flashback, and this time Amy is wanting to have a baby in order to save the relationship. But Nick didn't want one. So this led to an argument and they both got physical. So this led Amy to start fearing for her life and not wanting to be with him anymore. Now in the present, the detectives find the blood on the kitchen, and it was in fact Amy's blood. Later that day, the search crew hosted a gathering, and during this gathering, the woman who said she was Amy's friend said,
"Fine. You tell him that, Nick. You tell him Amy was 6 weeks pregnant."
And this made the entire crowd hate Nick. Then after he got taken back home, the detective showed him pictures of Amy and her friend. And Nick was caught off guard because he had never seen any of these pictures
Amy
before.
was
But without a
so-
body, the police
Oh
can't
my
really make an
goodness, the
arrest
way
just yet.
Amy
Then Nick's
did
sister shows up
things,
and he
it
tells
was
her,
I didn't tell you that she didn't want kids because she didn't want me to.
so now the detectives have enough evidence to start searching. So they go to Nick's dad's house to look for clues. And they end up finding Amy's diary in the furnace. Then we get a flashback to the day that Amy disappeared.
And my lazy, lying, cheating, oblivious husband will go to prison for my murder.
She planned this entire thing just because Nick cheated on her with the other girlfriend. So she secretly
his
became
student.
friends with the neighbor we saw earlier. Then invited her over and stole her pee in
Right,
order to
'cause
fake
wasn't
medical
she a
records to
student?
show that Amy was
It's been so
pregnant when she
long.
really wasn't. She also told the neighbor lies about Nick abusing her all the time. Then she took her own blood and poured it on the
Yep,
kitchen
she
floor
did.
to make it look like Nick had murdered her.
Yep.
Then Amy started writing fake stories in her diary
She
so that the
did.
police would find the diary and think these were real events that happened to her. This means Nick never abused her, he didn't murder her, and he really didn't know anything about this. And she started all this the night she saw Nick cheating on her. Now cheating is obviously bad, but
Yep.
doing all this is completely insane. Who the
Yep.
hell thinks to do this?
I mean, that's true.
So now Nick is 100% sure Amy is trying to frame him. So he gets a lawyer and starts trying to find out what the hell is going on.
I don't know what the hell is going on. I just don't know. But I do know this much. I'm scared as hell.
Then Nick ends up going to talk to one of Amy's old boyfriends, but he isn't trying to snitch on Amy. Then we see that Amy has changed her hair and is laying low. But while she was hiding out, she got robbed for all her money. So this led her to call her ex-boyfriend to meet up. And she ends up telling him,
I threatened to leave, and he said he'd find me and he'd kill me. So I disappeared.
and his dumbass believes it and takes her to his house. So this led Nick to have to give his own speech on the news as well. And while he's doing this, Amy is watching the entire thing. So now Amy is considering going back to Nick. But to do this, she has to set up yet another set of lies. So when her ex-boyfriend leaves for work, she ends up putting rope burns on her body, dips her gown in wine to resemble blood. Then she starts fake screaming for the security camera to make it look like she was being held hostage. So when he came back home, she seduced him. But this was all part of the plan. She ended up seducing him, then killing him on the bed.
And don't talk about the other
Now we see
part.
that Nick's life is terrible. And the saddest part for him
Okay,
is
he
that he
left
lives
that
in a
other
state where the
part
death
out.
penalty is legal. And Amy knew this before setting all this up. And not gonna lie,
course she
Amy
did.
did this nigga so bad.
Yeah,
He
she
literally
did.
can't go anywhere in the city
Oh,
without people
wow.
being like,
Hang that nigga now! I got the rope right here!
Oh my goodness.
but the next day, Amy ends up showing up at Nick's house. And she made sure to leave all the blood on her too. So now this changes everything. Nick is now seen as innocent, and now Amy is seen as a survivor of being kidnapped and assaulted. But Nick knows she's lying, but she has everyone believe in what she's saying.
He tied me up like a dog. And then he punished me.
She has now convinced the entire city that she wasn't murdered, but instead she was kidnapped by her ex-boyfriend and she had to kill him to escape. And because of everything she's done, Nick is way too scared to leave her ass now. So he is stuck living with this lying, murderous psycho lady for the rest of his life. So I think I'm gonna have to put her in all three spots, because she got worse and worse as the movie went on. I can forgive her for arguing and lying, but stealing pregnant ladies' pee, faking your death, writing fake stories for the police,
that
lying
was
about being assaulted, and then killing your ex-boyfriend is some of the
woman
most
was-
insane things I've ever
Wow.
seen. All right, now it's time for the honorable mention.
I mean,
It's
who?
just like you said
Wait,
it'd
what?
be.
Who? The professor?
Yeah, sure.
What?
Rogue is an X-Men superhero from the Marvel Universe. And throughout her stories, she is seen being with a man named Gambit. And I think the
Okay.
relationship is actually very interesting, because Rogue has a power where she will strip a person's life force away if she touches them. So physical touch isn't something she can consistently do with him. But they still make the relationship work very well for the most part. But then a TV show came out called X-Men 97. And
I
within
haven't
this show,
watched it.
Rogue does something that Gambit and I will never be able to forgive her for. So let's get into it. So when we first see Rogue and Gambit, they seem to be getting along pretty nice. Gambit literally risked his life to hold her hand. But then a villain named Magneto ends up joining the X-Men and becoming the leader. And a quick side note, I really hate when villains keep getting invited to join these hero teams. Some of the villains in these TV shows will literally destroy worlds, kill a bunch of people, and cause global destruction, and they'll show up and the heroes will end up giving them their 853rd chance to redeem themselves.
Yeah.
So Rogue ends up going into Magneto's room one night and having a pretty intimate interaction with him.
To feel another soul finally seeing yours.
I also want to point out Magneto is wrong as hell for this. He is a lot older than Rogue. He's in his 60s and Rogue is in her 20s. So when I first saw this scene, I was like,
Ew, you nasty ass bastard! That's nasty, man!
But as she's walking out, we see that Gambit saw the entire thing. And he also has a Queen of Hearts in his hand to symbolize that Rogue is the queen in his heart.
Oh, so
and this should have me damn near crying, because you rarely see Gambit sad. He's usually upbeat and making jokes. And a big reason he is upbeat is because he enjoys being around Rogue so much. And after seeing this, Gambit has to be around both Rogue and Magneto damn near every day. So they end up somewhat separating the next night.
You light up everything you touch, but never me.
Something's a bit deeper than skin, Cher.
Not this.
So after they have this talk, the X-Men have a party. And at this party, Rogue starts aura farming and floating down from the ceiling. And when Magneto saw her, he was like,
Oh, boy! Yes!
But at the same time, Gambit was also at this same party and Rogue knows this. And then she reaches out her hand and her and Magneto hold hands right in front of Gambit. And it's clear that there's some romantic feelings between Rogue and Magneto. And then they start dancing and they are getting very, very intimate. I damn near got pregnant watching this scene.
Oh my goodness.
But then they end up kissing and they kiss for a long time. But then Rogue stopped kissing him and said,
But Rennie was right. Some things are deeper than skin.
And this was the peak of my frustration with her, because she really didn't have to do this if this is how she truly felt. Gambit just poured his heart out last night, and now she's using Gambit's quote to tell her 60-year-old side nigga. And I get that there was temptation, but doing all this right after what she just did is crazy work. But then the party gets cut short because a giant robot starts trying to take them out. So Rogue ends up trying to fight them, but Gambit still ended up pulling up and saving her from getting killed. Then he locks in and goes to take out the robot. But as he was in the air, he got stabbed in the stomach. But Gambit's powers let him energize anything he touches. So since the robot was touching him, he was able to energize the entire robot and cause the robot to explode. And when Rogue went to see his body, she started crying. And I know this was an emotional scene, but I still think Rogue was dead wrong for her actions. She wasn't worried about Gambit when she was dancing and kissing Magneto, so for this, I gotta put her in the bad category, because I do think she really loved Gambit a lot. But hooking up with Magneto's old ass, dancing with him, then kissing him was really foul in my opinion. Also, rest in peace to my nigga Gambit. He's one of the most slept on heroes in my opinion. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Hopefully none of y'all's girlfriends do any of these things, and if they do, hopefully they're at least pretty. And as always, if y'all can think of any terrible girlfriends, drop them in the comments. But I'm tired of talking to y'all. Cue my outro music.